Good morning. Going to be doing a little Bitcoin slash market update, but most of Bitcoin, of course. So first off, just looking at the calendar for the next coming days, really nothing major importance coming up. We got the FOMC minutes Tuesday the 26th, and then we have lots of data coming out, GDP and stuff like that on the 27th. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot going on between now and then, which is nice. So across the board, nothing really major to look at there. Bitcoin long shorts, we've seen since earlier this morning, lots of aggressive shorting come in as price was moving back to the upside. Just within the last hour or so, it's kind of flat with a little bit increase in longs as we're starting to break back down locally. But overall, long short ratios, majority red. This is great. That means a lot of people are trying to short the upside move, which means we have the potential to continue back to the upside for the time being. Funding rates, wildly bearish, very, very, very positive. Obviously, this is because the short order books have been completely blown out of the water for the last 2 weeks. And they're trying to build back, effectively the short side of the book. And yeah, this is heavily incentivizing market makers, liquidity providers to take short positions. Looking over at like the local liquidity heat map zone, we've had the big move up into that really heavy short liquidity that was building from late last week and early and over the weekend. That's been taken out. We're seeing a little bit of rejection back down now. The really heavy long liquidity that we want to get into is that if we do start breaking the lows from what we stepped off from last night, effectively like last night's lows, any loss here should force us to come back down to these lows. And if we do lose the lows from like the 15th, then we are probably going to start talking about a retest at around 85.6, which is pretty juicy and ripe for a retest and a grab of that liquidity before stepping off. We don't have to. We've left long liquidity in the dust and then just continued because we are in a very strong bull market. But watch that. If we do start seeing secondary failures, it's definitely going to be a target if we start breaking trend back down. Finally, commitment to traders reports from the CME, full long, aping crazy full long. The fact that the dealers are doing this is that they are looking for a massive opportunity to offload in an uptrending market. So looks great, looks awesome in the higher time frame. Right, so now switching over to the charts, looking here first on the liquidity and the liquidations. We just had to take out this little nice move up. Did two things really effectively. We tested the low of the swing, and we've taken the high leverage stuff from the weekend. So instant reversal from that point, which is awesome. It's respecting liquidity. It's respecting market structure. And we do have high leverage liquidity below us. So that move down to 88K, we could be seeing that taken out. And then if we do go lower, effectively wicking underneath the lows from last Thursday, last Friday, we want to see a takeout of this liquidity, which we saw, down here at 85.8 effectively. And as we saw in the chart, the previous liquidations chart, just as like a show, there's a bit of a dead zone underneath this. So if we do have a grab underneath this stuff and we get some really aggressive rebuys that go higher, reestablishing support where it was lost and grab the long liquidity, we could see easily continuation. But again, if we do that, we start running into the problem of breaking trend, bearish retesting, and so on. So with that, we'll go over to the TA for this zone. Actually pretty decent range structure, I would say. This is the high point up here around 92.3 to, the actual all-time high is 93K. And then you've got the low of the range, which is down here at demand around 87.5. So lots of good stuff we can do down in this area if we do start breaking back down. The midpoint, definitely the weekly open. It's also swing market structure and resistance, 89.8. I love how the levels are playing out perfectly and there's overlap. We want to see holds here, very simple, to get a test back to the upside. Any breakout above this structure that effectively flips this from resistance into support, right? Then we're looking for that continuation, that expansion higher. But for the time being, yeah, there's a couple things we need to accomplish in this zone, I would say. One of the main ones being effectively squeezing to the upside, and which is still the direction of travel. We're still trending very heavily up. Watch for these levels. Watch if we fail the weekly open to go lower. Every level here is technically for, the risk reward is very high to just have a continuation move. Obviously, we're seeing some big sell-offs since we had the pop back up into the swing structure. But overall, I'm happy with it. Until we start running really, bad price action and start losing 87.5, 87.3K, 0.3, or 87.3K, excuse me, then I'm not expecting too much. There's a lot of moves down here, down to like the 85K zone to grab that liquidity. Watch for that quick wick. If we end up just wicking underneath stuff and then closing back above to continue, the buyback's going to be everything. Watch for bearish retests. Be hesitant to press the red button until you actually get failures. This was a nice little cover short because it did everything perfectly. Grabbed liquidity, tested the swing, all that jazz in one. Now you want to see either the continuation from the weekly open, which is still the most likely. You can get a local continuation even here from this, what is that, the Sunday open. So it's all relatively bullish looking structure. Once we start breaking these lows, then we start failing some of the localized structure. We talk about potential bigger retracements and effectively coming back down towards, 81K if that's the case. But until we get some confirmation of failure, expect the trend to continue to the upside. Don't get overly aggressive trying to short, and play the key levels. Really simple here. Best thing in the world. You find your level, you add an alert to it, and you wait for the trade to come to you. So that's that. Take it easy. Catch you later.